Hi, I'm Rob Schmidt, a former employee of the Los Angeles Unified School District, here to report on yet another attempt by the school district to deflect all responsibility after one of their students, a special education student, sprayed Charles Smith, one of the hardest working, most dedicated teachers I've met in my 10 plus years, in the face with a fire extinguisher. This happened at Gompers Middle School on San Pedro Street on June the 5th of 2000. And not only was a student not disciplined for this act of violence, but Charles was fired when he became a financial liability to the school district as a result of the permanent disability he incurred from the attack.
I was in my classroom when a student, a special needs student, walked in with a fire extinguisher and sprayed me with it. As a result, I've had trouble breathing. I've been on oxygen for the past 10 years. And I've had complications with my speech, with my memory, and some related problems that I'm experiencing now that I never had before.
Despite the violent nature of this attack, there was no disciplinary action taken against the healthy special education student who sprayed Charles in the face.
It was within the framework of his disability.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's very important that I explain that my 10 plus years in the Los Angeles School District, the way they handle discipline the vast majority of the time is if they can't control a student's behavior in a normal classroom, they will label the kid with some type of a disability, psychiatric or psychological, put them in a special education classroom where the school gets a lot more money, as do the kid's parents, and the kids get away with virtually anything. Now, in this case, the kid had to grab a fire extinguisher, which I have here. Those fire extinguishers are usually held in place with metal straps holding them to the wall, or they're in some type of a case which has to be broken into or unlocked, requiring intelligent thought. Then, and this is very important, before I can fire this fire extinguisher, there are pins in place preventing me from doing so. So in order to fire it, I have to remove the pin. So please explain to me what valid, legitimate psychological or psychiatric disability exists in which a person could do all those things and truly not be responsible for their actions. And if the kid is really in that situation, he needs more than to be just sent back to the classroom. Despite the severity of the attack, the school district has made every effort to avoid responsibility. Charles did not receive any workman's compensation for close to 5 years after the attack. Even then, he only received $340 a month before his benefits were terminated on November the 10th, 2008, because they exceeded the amount anticipated. To date, Charles Smith has only received $20,997.20 from workman's compensation as a result of the ordeal. The problems Charles is having collecting have a lot to do with the findings of Dr. Edward J. O'Neill, who indicates that he doesn't think there's anything in these fire extinguishers that could have caused his problems, although he does indicate that it's mandatory that he receive the material safety data sheets. Those data sheets would tell him exactly what is in that fire extinguisher. Dr. O'Neill also mentioned the fact that Charles used to smoke, noting Charles smoked cigarettes for a total of 20 years, averaging less than half a pack a day, and he quit in 1995. That's 5 years before the attack. Dr. O'Neill's comments are in sharp contrast to that of Dr. Ronald Zlatalo with Kaiser Permanente, Charles' own primary care physician, who indicates that the most important point that needs to be brought up is that the patient had quit smoking for at least 5 years prior to the attack, and that his COPD was stable until the exposure in 2000. It wasn't until after the exposure that he had breathing problems, which have escalated to the point where he now needs supplemental oxygen. The fire extinguisher I used is very similar to the one mentioned in the report, and it claims that its contents are non-toxic. So, I would ask you very simply, would you inhale that? And after decades of dedicated service, the school district discarded him. The subunit would have a calling list of teachers. Did they take you off of that calling list?
Yes, they took me off that calling list. They also said that they weren't going to rehire me.
Ladies and gentlemen, prior to the attack, Charles Smith was an active, vibrant member of society. He ran track and played basketball with the students. He was pursuing his master's in business administration and in special education. Unfortunately, this is how the school district handles these situations. They're so desperate to keep the money coming in, and in order to do that, they have to keep the kids in the seats no matter what they do. It's just become that corrupt. That's why I'm doing these videos, to make the schools safer for people like Charles, but safer for the children as well, for the kids that want to learn. So please help me to make the schools safer by watching these videos and sharing your thoughts either in the YouTube message center, or you can send me a confidential email at robsyoutube@earthlink.net. Thanks again, and may God be with you all.